We're good? Oh, you got to get your chairs. Yeah, I'm going to have to change that chair too one of these days. Okay, before we begin, I want to remind the Public Safety, Finance, and Strategic Support Committee members and the member of the public to follow our code of conduct at meetings. This includes the commenting on the specific agenda item only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the chair, council member, or staff. All members of the Public Safety, Finance, and Strategic Support Committee, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the Public Safety, Finance, Strategic Support Committee will now come to order. Can the clerk office please call the roll?
Salas.
Here.
Casey.
Here.
Mulcahy.
Here.
Vice Chair Kamei. Here. Chair Dwan.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have, we're going right into review of work plan. Do we have any drop changes or defer of any items? No? Okay. There's nothing on consent calendar. So we're going to go straight to the reports to committee, the Fire Department Emergency Medical Services Annual Report. And that will have Chief Sapien and Deputy Chief Steve Bohe.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Robert Sapien. I'm the Fire Chief here in San Jose, and I am joined today by Deputy Fire Chief Steve Bowie, who oversees our Department of Bureau of Emergency Medical Services and Training, and Fire Captain Kevin Stidham, who is our Advanced Life Support Education Coordinator. We are here today to speak on item D1, which is the Fire Department Emergency Medical Services Annual Report. Chief Bowie will lead us through the presentation, after which we are happy to answer the committee's questions.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, Chair, committee members, and members of the public. The San Jose Fire Department provides all-hazard emergency response, training, and equipment, enabling responders to operate effectively and safely in all environments presenting in the city. Typically, 911 calls that are not exclusively law enforcement matter will include a fire department response. Currently operating out of 34 stations, the department deploys resources to meet the city's all-hazard service demands. Engine, truck companies, and rescue medics provide response for fire suppression, advanced life support EMS first response, patient transports and rescues. Our specialized resources are staffed and equipped to meet specific hazards requiring technical training and certification levels, including aircraft firefighting, protecting San Jose Mineta International Airport, hazardous incident team for hazardous materials response, and urban search and rescue. The department began providing advanced life support services in early July 1995, with paramedics initially deployed on 3 engine companies, and then expanded to all fire stations to provide advanced life support coverage citywide in 1996. Today, each deployed engine company, truck company, urban search and rescue company, American aircraft rescue firefighting company, and rescue medics are staffed and equipped to provide advanced life support services. Additionally, rescue medics are transport capable and are currently frequently activated to support the county's ambulance system. Requests for emergency medical services are most often initiated through the 911 system. The initial San Jose PD 911 call taker will transfer the caller to a fire department communication center. A fire department public safety radio dispatcher will dispatch a fire department advanced life support unit and will remain with the caller to further triage the incident and provide pre-arrival instructions under medical priority dispatch system protocols. Ambulance dispatch is simultaneously provided by Santa Clara County Communications. Upon fire department arrival, the dispatcher will terminate the 911 call. Responders will take scene control measures, conduct a patient assessment, and initiate patient care interventions. Upon arrival of the transporting ambulance, patient information will be relayed and patient care will be formally transferred. Where county ambulances are unavailable, a fire department rescue medic will transport. And when only a basic life support county ambulance is available, the fire department paramedic may be required to accompany the patient to the hospital. In fiscal year 2023-2024, the department responded to 110,255 calls for service, including 68,410 that were classified as medical only. By measure of volume and patient acuity, the severity of the illness or medical condition, the department is a substantial medical provider in the city. Fire-based emergency medical services are highly advantageous to city residents because of the citywide deployment model and because firefighters can operate in all hazardous environments. In observing the call distribution provided in this chart, it is important to note that medical care is often a component of other response types. For example, vehicle accidents are frequently classified within the rescue, hazmat, USAR, and other non-fire hazard call type, and yet frequently involve multiple EMS patients. In fiscal year 2023-2024, the top 5 triage 911 caller medical complaints were sickness, breathing problems, falls, unconscious and fainting, and chest pain and chest discomfort. The top 5 initial impressions noted by responders were traumatic injury, general weakness, respiratory distress, abdominal pain or problems, and no medical complaint findings. Notable in the initial impression was that 10,541 instances of traumatic injuries, 26% of the top 10 initial impressions, an increase in approximately 8% from the previous fiscal year. Notable and worthy of further monitoring and evaluation, data reflected downward trends in documented initial impressions of alcohol intoxication or overdoses, down 32%, altered level of consciousness, down 7%, and chest pain, down 8%. Currently, department EMS staff are engaged in advancing EMS data analytic capabilities to enable a closer evaluation of department clinical performance, generate dashboards that can drive program improvements, and provide foundation for quality assurance and quality improvement strategic plans. On October 16th, 2023, the City Council conducted its Santa Clara County 911 Ambulance Services Study Session, where the department described the challenges related to the unavailability of county ambulance resources. And the committee was provided with the Santa Clara County 911 Ambulance Service Status Report on March 21st, 2024. Since that time, the county ambulance provider has continued to struggle to provide ALS ambulances, and department responders have continued to absorb additional workload. This chart shows the continued increase in fire department transports and basic life support escorts. This is where a San Jose Fire Department paramedic has to ride in when a BLS ambulance is sent to a call that needs an advanced life support level of care for transport. This results in an engine or a truck out of service for a significant amount of time, reducing the response reliability of that unit. Early defibrillation is extremely important in the care of cardiac patients. The Public Access Defibrillator Program currently provides 246 public access defibrillators across 96 city facilities. A notable stat of this past year that I wanted to draw your attention to is that there were 9 cardiac arrests that had a public access defibrillator on the call on the patient prior to the arrival of the San Jose Fire Department, with a 100% return of spontaneous circulation rate of those patients. This really highlights the importance of the PAD program, the Public Access Defibrillator Program. This coming year, we are targeting several community education opportunities to promote CPR and AED training. Early intervention for out-of-hospital cardiac arrest is critical. A study published in the Journal of American Heart Association in 2018 concluded that for each 1 minute increase in EMS response time was associated with a 10.7% decrease in favorable neurological outcome of out-of-hospital cardiac arrest victims. In an effort to decrease response time to cardiac arrest events in our community, the department has previously adopted and continues to use the PulsePoint app, which will alert skilled individuals, including off-duty healthcare professionals, who have the app when San Jose Fire Department receives 911 call for a cardiac arrest. The department engaged to take part in the opioid overdose prevention efforts supported by the opioid settlement funds. The department recruited a graduate intern to focus on the 2024-2025 school year to create and disseminate public education materials related to the mitigation of the opioid misuse and drug disposal, discuss Good Samaritan laws, and go over treatment services. This opioid awareness education outreach has taken place in youth groups, schools, at-risk communities, and also with our community emergency response teams, or CERTs. Consistent with our mission, the department maintains ongoing public information and education promoting community health and safety. In-person engagements occur throughout the city, with fire companies engaged at schools, in fire stations, community meetings, and other events. The department generates graphics and video content for posting across multiple platforms, such as Facebook, Instagram, and Nextdoor. Information releases are often timed to address seasonal hazards such as swimming pool safety, heat illness prevention, and wet driving conditions, or intermittently released to address ever-present hazards such as poisons, toxic safety, home electrical safety, suicide prevention, opioid education, and many others. Thank you for your time, and I've enjoyed presenting you today.
Thank you for the report. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay, let's go to Councilmember Casey.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Ambulance shortages and delays are an issue. Can you speak to the county's contract with, I keep forgetting their names, Rural Metro, and the impending extension of the contract or potential for the extension? Do you feel that, how can I phrase this, that the current ambulance provider is meeting the needs of the city?
Thank you for the question, Council Member. The current agreement between the County of Santa Clara and its exclusive operating area provider, Rural Metro of California, has been in place since July 1 of 2025. In short, your question says, does it meet the needs of the residents? I believe it has become a very aged agreement. And in the last several years, the ambulance provider has been unable to provide sufficient ambulance resources to meet the transport needs of our community.
As a follow-up, are there any alternatives that we can think of that we should be exploring?
I believe there are. Statewide, there are several different EMS system models in place. We did have the opportunity to present to council some time back in a study session to present some of those models. Those included the current model or status quo, which is the county contracts to a private for-profit provider. A second model is a third service public model, which would be an entirely new EMS department, if you will, that could serve the county. A third is what is in place today in Contra Costa County, and it's been in place for several years. It's become known as the Alliance model. That is very similar to the model we have now, with the difference that the private provider is subordinate in that relationship to a first responder agency, where what we have observed in that county is a far more integrated system where resources are deployed to meet the needs of the community more frequently. And in fact, this fire department has worked to evaluate that type of program, and we feel it could work here.
Thank you, thank you. Given the deficiencies of the current model, I'd be encouraged if we did pursue one of those other models. But I appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, and I'll add, I did attend the county's health and hospital meeting, which occurred yesterday, and it was a little bit discouraging in that we're hearing a timeline for a possible new provider under the current RFP development process to not occur until possibly 2028. And so there was discussion at that meeting on how that process could possibly be accelerated. And I did share the concerns for the performance that I've observed from my office.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Casey. We're going to Councilmember Kamei.
Thank you. I'm going to follow up with that because I know that this has been a tremendous concern in many ways, where rural metro really are not meeting their obligations. And so what I want to say is that the people of San Jose and Santa Clara County are really, really fortunate to have you. So thank you so much for your service. Thank you for being there. When someone calls 911, you know we're going to be there no matter what. And I think that we've been really, really fortunate that you are there. Mm-hmm. The fact that rural metro is not fulfilling their obligations, we know that there's a shortage of paramedics and professionals in that industry, but that is not, we should not let them off the hook. And I think that the county, I believe, has a responsibility, and I think that each and every one of us, if we care about this issue, should be more direct with the county. The fact that they want to extend it that far out and then ding us when we're not able to be able to meet the performance goals of getting to where we need to get to is ridiculous, really. I just think that they want to have it both ways, and that's not okay. I know that it puts the department in a very difficult position because while, you have a obligation, it is hampered by the fact that you have increasingly been burdened over time because the ambulance doesn't respond, they don't have the right people in the ambulance, and I just think that it needs to be much more front and center, and I know that you've addressed this looking at potential alternatives in the future. I think that's great, but I also think that it is not okay to let the county sort of like stretch it out till, what did you say, 2028?
2028, yes.
Well, why? I mean, I understand they've got a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of stuff going on too, but I think that since things are, coming to an end on June 30th, it is a great opportunity to have a deeper conversation with them and a deeper conversation with the Board of Supervisors that, there needs to be a better way of solving this problem. Yes, we need more trained professionals. We know that, right? But it should not be an excuse for a for-profit organization, which Rural Metro is a for-profit, not to be responsible for their obligations. So I really feel very strongly that we really need to create some focus around this because we know that there are ongoing shortages and reliance on support paramedic. I mean, we know that, right? But existing conditions is not going to work. I mean, if we had some way of being able to figure out how we could sort of even meet in the middle, right? At least it's better than what we have today. I mean, we've seen the charts in previous reports as well that the responses are just going higher and higher and higher. At what point do we say, this is not working at all, right? So I just want to highlight, you know, I've been on PIS-FIS for 2 years now, and, you know, while in the beginning, you know, you kind of think, oh, okay, you know, we can kind of work things out. The burden is shifting higher and higher every year to the fire department, and I don't think that's right. And I think that they know it. They know that we're in a difficult position because, you know, we take seriously our obligation to serve. And I think that we should have, the other day at the council meeting, we talked about accountability. We really need to extend our accountability and compassion on this side too, so that, you know, when we're transporting patients, when we're doing extra work, when we're seeing that this is sort of increasing year over year over year, there is a point where we're not going to be able to sustain this. And so I think that we do have to look at these alternative solutions, and I know you're working on that, but I also think that I would encourage you to accelerate that, as well as think about what are we going to do before June 30th. And I, for one, am happy to go to the Board of Supervisors and even go to the Health and Hospital meeting and talk to them about that. You have brand new supervisors who I don't know their involvement in knowing the history of this, but this, I find that it's critically important. And it's important because we're serving the people of San Jose and sort of the other Santa Clara County areas as well. Because I know that you guys will, if there's a need, you will help. And I appreciate that. The people of San Jose appreciate that. But I also think that you should not be taken advantage of. So I don't have an answer yet, but I do recognize over time that this is not okay and it's not sustainable. So, you know, I don't know what you need, but I feel very strongly that, you know, we need to find a pathway to make some changes, even if they're intermediate changes, right? Maybe they don't ding us for being, you know, like a minute late or whatever. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that we need something, because right now we bear the largest burden, and rural metro sort of is kind of just doing their thing. And the other day I saw one of their ambulances and they had taped over paramedic because they didn't have one, I assume, on there, right? And, you know, I thought, you know, yeah, we have shortages in many of these professional industries. But why is the burden on the public and not on a private entity that's really making a lot of money? So I think that I would like to see more movement on this. And if there's anybody here who wants to join me, I think that we would certainly try to make inroads in changing something. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
Thank you, Councilmember Kamei. I'm standing right next to you regarding that, so thank you for that. And we'll get to Councilmember Mulcahy.
Thank you, and thank you, Chief, and the gang for making this presentation. I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you My family had a very difficult experience. We lost my mother in October of last year. San Jose Fire Department responded. It was a trauma situation. It was San Jose Fire Department that made the right call to take her to county to console and consult while waiting. Certainly not the ultimate reason that she passed, but the reality is that your team was doing the hardest part of the work. And so I just want to say thank you from this dais for the first time for that. And I think you've struck a nerve here. I would echo all of my colleagues to the right in terms of this being an issue. I've seen firsthand the kind of pressure this is putting on our own medics. And, you know, so we do have a joint meeting that is supposed to be talking about some of our relationship with the county. I think it's centered around homelessness response, but, you know, in your report, there's also an enormous amount of response that you're taking relative to our homelessness issues. And so for me, you know, I don't know if that's the right place, colleagues, to sort of put that on the agenda, because we know hopefully before 28 we get a change here, but we know this is going to take time. And so in the meantime, what do we have to do to make sure that we're still able to respond with the appropriate staffing and staffing levels to make sure that we're making up for a bad contract with the county, but also keeping our own public safe? What ideas do we have for in the meantime?
Thank you, Council Member. In the short term, I do believe there is, at minimum, an opportunity to open conversation on the conditions within the agreement between San Jose, that the San Jose Fire Department delivers, and County Emergency Medical Services Agency. That agreement is set to expire June 30 of this year. I have heard at least a verbal signal from the county EMS director that they want to begin those conversations. And my comment in that moment was that we need to sit down and talk and not think that this will be just an extension of what exists today. So I think that opportunity is about to present itself in the coming weeks. Beyond that, I think that our interim or our internal strategies are really focusing on acknowledging that things are not improving quickly at all. And so we are certainly working to see if there are opportunities to deploy more of our own ambulances so that workload is better balanced across the San Jose Fire Department and our staff. We're hopeful that we can figure that out in the next 2 months or so to see what's possible. And then certainly, as we've talked about the longer term strategy, we really do need system reform that has to show itself by way of the county's procurement process for the incumbent or the successor agreement that will be forthcoming, although may not be in place for several years.
Well, I can tell you what rural Metro is really good at: billing. Billing. So not to be snarky about it, but it's true. So switching gears just for a moment, maybe something a little bit more constructive. So you talked about the AED locations and the success with that. What about some of our organizations out there in the community like CERT, and there's another one called the Hub, which is sort of using people in our communities to, you know, be responsive to issues that come up in neighborhoods and so forth. You know, that and neighborhood associations, right? I mean, I see more AED units in retail areas and in, you know, sort of non-governmental buildings. Is there any more work that we can do to encourage more of that so we can get the community engaged, knowledgeable, and proactive.
Thank you, Councilmember. I think the model program, there's a few across the nation, but I think the one that's been standing most for the longest period of time is the City of Seattle. A very robust citizen CPR program, very robust AED program. Their responders, in fact, we just attended their academy where they teach essentially high performance cardiopulmonary resuscitation techniques. And we are looking to advance our program that way. We did support in the past a citizen CPR program with pretty steady outreach to get training done. Unfortunately, we had to contract due to budget concerns during the recession. But I do think you're absolutely right, and certainly this small sample of 10 calls is small, but the data is profound. To have that many instances of return of spontaneous circulation clearly shows that there's benefit to early defibrillation and certainly early compressions in CPR. So we are in the process of coming up with a strategic plan in the Emergency Medical Services Division to see if we can make advancements in those programs and get some improvements. But you're absolutely right. It would be CERT teams. It would be certainly any community group that's willing to come to get the certification, even if it's just hands-only CPR type training. And then optimizing the AED program as well.
Well, we can all be ambassadors of it because we're all meeting with neighborhood associations and people that are coming together to organize themselves. And so whether it's, we're bringing the crime prevention unit to a lot of these meetings, it'd be great to be able to offer a program like this where we're really asking our community to get educated and be proactive in health and safety in their own communities. So I would be open to it, and I'm sure my other colleagues would too, to put you on the agenda at, neighborhood associations and so forth. So
thank you, and we will continue to advance that work plan
Yeah,
so that we
great.
can get there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Mulcahy. We'll go to Councilmember Salas.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo my appreciation of the report, but also in the last year, both my wife and I were aided by your response teams, and professional, fast, sensitive. It's just been wonderful, and we're 100% today, so thank you. Hey, one question I wanted to ask you. You mentioned 68,000 medical-only responses. Some of you may have been around a long time, a long enough time. How many of those were homeless-related, unhoused-related, as opposed to maybe 15 years ago when there was not the unhoused situation we had?
Yeah, certainly the number of homeless calls has increased, and I think most profoundly since 2020. COVID had impacts, and you all are working on so many fronts to address the homelessness issue. And the challenge there for us is there's a few things for our responders, of course, is the environments are always unpredictable. Often when there is a call, it's a passerby that makes the call and the address is somewhat unknown, and so there's a lot of sort of search and try to figure out what's going on. And then ultimately sometimes we have to trek into places that are just hard to find and hard to get to. But overall, our, I can't remember, do you know the percent? I think I can get you the precise number.
I was just looking for, is it 50%, is it 10%?
No, not 50. It's I would say it's closer to 30-ish at the peak, but not that high now. It's
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilmember Salas. Well, as a former fire captain, I extremely proud and of our San Jose Fire Department. And last Christmas, right before Christmas, I just similar to Councilmember Mulcahy, I've lost my mother, and I dial 911 on the way home, and our fire department got there in less than 4 minutes. It was incredible. And they went above and beyond to help my family through that traumatized time. And I just want to say thank you to the crew, thank you to the fire department, which is very endearing to my heart. And every time I hear a fire engine go by City Hall, I miss being in the fire department tremendously. So I know that the CPR training program have lost some funding, but I was just thinking, is it possible we can do the CPR training part of it online ahead prior to the actual physical part of compression, so that way you can cut down the timeline to get our citizen, including Neighborhood Watch, Neighborhood Association, and those who want to be trained to help other citizens when in time of need. Captain Stidham?
Thank you, Councilmember. Yes, that's an absolute possibility, as long as it's within a certain time frame. We don't want them to watch that video too soon and then lose some of that information that they would have. Having that face-to-face with us is really beneficial. Giving them that information, how to do it, calming them at the same time. But absolutely, we can send out some type of video or online program for them.
Thank you. Can you kind of explain to the public what happened when one of our paramedic is transport a resident to the hospital? How does it affect the ALS call versus BLS call in that geographical first due?
Thank you, council member. So the background on your question, if you don't mind, I'll offer is when the private ambulance provider is unable to deliver an advanced life support ambulance, meaning they don't have a paramedic on board, we will respond as usual. And if the patient or patients require advanced life support care, in that circumstance, our paramedic will have to escort the patient all the way to the emergency room until transfer of care to the appropriate staff at the hospital. And so to your question is what is the system impact? The system impact is that we have an extended period of time with a resource that is in basic life support status, and in the instance of a call arising in their response area, we have to dispatch an additional unit to achieve the advanced life support level of care. And so that would be the immediate local effect. System-wide, as it occurs repeatedly, then we have a system-wide effect where multiple units are responding beyond their first due response districts.
Yeah, I believe that impact on our dynamic deployment, right?
If you look at the response network of fire stations, engines, and trucks, what happens is that network of resources becomes thinner, and resources have to travel further distances.
Yes, thank you. So it's apparently, very apparent to me that Santa Clara County has not honored their commitment to our residents in many areas of obligation, and it placed a pretty tremendous burden onto our fire department. We have spent more money, committed more resources to make up for their shortfall. And this has created a need for more rescue medic and the needs to improve our partnership with the ambulance provider. And I think as a public servant, public entity, we should be the one that drive the private ambulance company in order to give better service to our residents. What can the council do to support you in this particular area? And how do we as a city move forward to ensure the needs of our residents are met?
Thank you, Councilmember. I think I will maybe echo Councilmember Kamei's comments, which I think awareness is first and foremost, and opening the channels of communication. I'll share that the reason I attended the Health and Hospital meeting yesterday was because the submitted memo, which was a quarterly report from the county EMS agency, made no mention of the ambulance shortage or the impact on first responder agencies. And so I do believe there is a need for all of us in the county who are impacted to voice concerns, and certainly I will continue to do so, and my peers across the county share the frustrations as well.
Thank you. It has brought to my attention that we may have a 34% vacancy in our fire paramedic staffing. Do we have the ability to hire more? And if so, how do we do it?
So yes, and the background there, again, if you don't mind. So certainly, when in March of 2020, when we all were noticed that there would be a lockdown, and I'll offer this as maybe a bit of a lapse in my recognition at that time. We had a firefighter academy starting a week after that lockdown, and the decision was made, and certainly supported by the city manager, to continue that academy because we understood that we needed to continue to hire and develop people for the future. Unfortunately, what occurred in the state is all paramedic schools stopped delivering instruction, and all clinicals right along stopped, and all internships stopped. And so we've been struggling through that gap in training and development, and it has driven a shortage in paramedics since 2021 or so, is when we saw the reduction in available applicants that were qualified as paramedics. Today, we recently graduated a firefighter academy with 13 paramedics in that class. We just began a new academy with 18 paramedics in that class. In total, as those individuals proceed through, that puts us at about a 20% level of vacancies in the paramedic position. To overcome the immediate demand and the pressure that was put on our medics, who were having to work a lot of mandatory overtime to keep services going, we did lean on our fire engineers and fire captains who were previously licensed as paramedics, and asked them to reactivate. And that program has been highly effective. In effect, what that has achieved is every day we staff a minimum of 47 paramedics in the field, and between the paramedics we now have hired in the firefighter rank and the other two ranks, every day I have about 150 people that I can call upon to fill those 47 positions daily. So we've stabilized, but long term, I think it's going to take another 2 years before statewide the paramedic production out of schools is balanced, and we're able to find a robust applicant pool that is qualified.
Thank you. Another county problem, that their failure to adequately address the homelessness here in the city of San Jose, or in the county for that matter. They have not built shelter nor mental illness facility like the old Agnew's that I used to work there as a site tech. And it's burdened our responder. It's burdened our fire department system. And I just want to say thank you for giving us the stat that fire department respond to over 11,000 calls and spent over $30 million to address, going out on calls to our homelessness. And because of that, we able to come up with a program called San Jose Love /PEM. PEM stand for Pre-Engineering Modular Shelter. And in order to respond to this homelessness crisis, and I know that it's not only affect our resources in the fire department, it's also affected the morale of our membership, if you will. Chief, we are trying as a council, as council to address the county shortfall in this area. And hopefully, if we can build more shelter, that would free up a lot of resources and funding for the department to take care of our residents. Now, we will need your support moving forward to work with our county counterpart to make this a reality. And not only our fire department, but also our police department as well. What are your thoughts on having the paramedic field coordinator in San Jose, and what would the requirement for the position?
Thank you, Councilmember. So the background, again, the paramedic field coordinator was in position since 1995 when we began providing advanced life support services, and was eliminated due to budget action in 2023, I believe. The economics of the position, obviously we would need funding to reinstate it. It would be 3 captains position in the city. That is the gap we're trying to, that is causing the elimination. In terms of the question that was requested from council for us to answer for today's meeting, if the county were to release an RFP and the city of San Jose were the provider of record, it is common across the state that emergency medical services agencies require multiple supervisors for the ambulance systems in metro areas. And so under that premise, if we were to be the provider of record, I believe we would be required to have that position, and probably more than one, likely 4 to 5 on duty at all times. And so hopefully that captures your question.
Yes. Our county has extended the contract with Rural Metro for ambulance services. Do you believe they are meeting the needs of our city?
As I said, clearly not. I think that slide, I don't know if we can pull it up, but the slide that indicated the number of transports and ride-ins, or firefighter paramedic ride-ins, 100% of that is workload that was not designed to be on the fire department. And so from a workforce perspective, we're operating above and beyond what was agreed to with the county many years ago. On the customer, the resident side, we've shown a couple of data points, a couple studies related to cardiopulmonary resuscitation, but certainly this is true for trauma victims. It's certainly true for stroke victims, and also cardiac victims. Time really matters. And so when we have a resource model where resources are delayed and compounded by additional delays because the fire department is occupied doing work that it's not designed to do, absolutely we're not seeing the system function the way it was designed to function.
And therefore, what are the fire department plans to get those needs met?
As I stated, I think we are closely evaluating the opportunities that we have to strengthen internally our resourcing for that problem, which would be more rescue medics that could be transport capable. And then secondly, as I stated, there is an opportunity, I think, to have a conversation with the county about the terms of the current agreement and whether there's a chance to improve circumstances there. And then ultimately, I think the big question is what will be the successor program to the one we have today? Because I think in many ways the system that we have today is not quite meeting our needs.
Thank you. And I think your call volume is now above 110,000. And I would imagine that you're anticipating it's going to go higher. Is there any plan in the future? I know that Station 32 and 36 is online to 32 being built right now, and then 36 will be coming online. With the amount of calls that you're predicting it's going to go higher, how many more stations do you think do we need in order to really cut down the timeline to get to our resident who are having a heart attack or stroke or an extreme emergency because of our geographical first due is pretty long?
Yes, I think, Councilmember, and I apologize, I don't have a graphic to show you. We have shared several times heat mapping in the city that shows a couple things, and one in particular is a heat map that reflects the instances where it took more than 4 minutes of travel time for fire units to arrive on scene. And so I think the question of how many more stations is a little bit complex related to that issue, because in some cases, if we were to, ultimately completely eliminate responses longer than 4 minutes, which again, that would be a worthy goal, but difficult to achieve. It would probably involve additional stations and additional resources at existing stations to keep up with the volume. When we put forward the prioritization for new fire stations under Measure T, I had done some of that analysis, and I added additional station recommendations to that analysis. And so at that time, I believe it was 5 or 6 to really start to eliminate that 4-minute travel time issue and balance some of that call volume. So for now, I would say that's probably my best analysis, but I think it would take a comprehensive standards of cover study again, given all the changes that have occurred since 2016 when we last did that.
Last question. I know that when there's events, there are fire department booth and representation out there. Is it possible that we can have a firefighter on overtime or on disability to go out there to represent us? Because when people asking what it is that we do, a professional firefighter can answer that very clearly and able to get more recruitment into our department, including women. Is there a plan for that? Because it's difficult for me and many other council members, including our public, to have a non-sworn personnel representing us, trying to recruit. Because I don't think we will have a police officer, let's say we have a civilian representing the police department in recruitment, and I think do you have any plan for that in the future?
Yeah, Councilmember, I'm happy to discuss that further. The fact is we do. We have increased our presence dramatically, frankly, in the last 3 years at recruitment events with sworn personnel. So certainly happy to go offline and provide you with an update of our activities there. But it's already in place.
Oh, thank you for that, and I'll have my office work with you because, as you well know, the city of San Jose is represented by 40% plus in our Asian community, and I like to see more recruitment in the Asian community as a whole. I appreciate that. Do I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to Councilmember Kamei.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all the information. I know that you do this, periodically, and so I'm hoping that we're able to circle back before the June 30th timeframe. And I think it was a great idea to have maybe an item. I know there's a lot on the docket when we meet with the county, but I also think that this is one that perhaps we can work sort of in tandem with the meeting, as well as, maybe going to the health and hospital meeting, or I don't know. I would look to you for guidance in terms of what is helpful. Mm-hmm. And so with that, I want to accept the annual report on the fire department emergency medical services delivery.
Just wanted to note, on the meeting with the county, I think we think it'd probably be better a separate meeting, but we can talk internally about that and get back to you.
Yeah, I think, whatever is appropriate, I think would be well. I just think that it's important to take some kind of steps before our June 30th timeframe, because I think that if we wait, then, their extension is like, it'll just happen without even acknowledgement of what's going on. And because we have new members of the Board of Supervisors, I certainly think that it warrants at least, some kind of a briefing, some kind of, mention that this has been an ongoing problem and it's not sustainable. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We got first and second. Let's vote on this.
Sorry, I didn't get the second. The mics weren't activated. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Mulcahy, second. And we have a unanimous vote. Okay, thank you. Now we're going to item number 2, Innovation and Technology Project Status Report. And I believe that will be Colette, Jesse Juarez, and Shirley Duong.
Good afternoon, Chair Duan, council members, and members of the public. I'm Khaled Tawfiq, Chief Information Officer, and I'm joined by the project management team, Jesse Juarez, Division Manager, and Shirley Young, Project Manager. We will start with the agenda. We'll start with the status of the project management by our Project Management Office, also known as the PMO. And then we'll discuss the Information Technology Department strategic plan, and then we'll highlight some of the projects and successful projects for your reference. I don't see why the clicker is not working with me today. All right. The city's priorities guide our effort to leverage technology in meaningful ways. That Information Technology Department is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life in San Jose through innovation, collaboration, and engagement. Our vision is to anticipate where services are needed and proactively deliver solutions that support a thriving future for the city. We are committed to strategic initiatives that emphasize community engagement, innovation, and security, ensuring access to city services for all residents. Our approach is centered on people-driven innovation, streamlining processes and systems to improve efficiency and service delivery. Through data-driven decision-making, we use insight to inform policies, drive action, and create meaningful change. We also prioritize responsible AI adoption, ensuring technology enhances city services while upholding safety, transparency, and ethical use. With the increase of risk in cybersecurity is definitely a top priority. We continuously are working to understand, protect, and educate staff to safeguard city systems and resident data. We integrate strategic measures throughout our work to monitor progress, emphasizing equity, efficiency, and automation. Our success is evaluated through real-time performance dashboards and customer satisfaction feedback gathered from surveys. I'll now turn it over to Jesse Juarez to discuss the Project Management Office.
Thank you, Khaled. Good afternoon, Chair Duan, Vice Chair Kamai, council members, and members of the public. I'm Jesse Juarez, Division Manager for the Project Management Office in the Information Technology Department. I'll provide an overview of the types of projects my office manages. Our projects are typically large-scale or complex, meeting at least one of the following criteria as you see on the screen. Projects cost over $500,000. We handle large projects with a significant financial investment, ensuring budget, timeline, and quality is prioritized. Another criteria is multiple departments may be involved. Many projects require collaboration across departments, fostering a unified approach. Projects greater than 1 year, complex projects may take longer to complete, and we ensure continued progress. And lastly, high-profile or sensitive projects. These projects often align with city initiatives and are crucial to the city's future and public interest. Our office ensures that each project is executed efficiently, transparently, and with the focus on meeting the needs of our residents. There we go. This is the PMO team you see on the screen. Once accepted, projects are assigned to a dedicated project manager. Our skilled PMO team oversees a diverse range of IT projects. Currently, we're managing 33 high-priority projects valued at nearly $54 million. Each project manager handles all aspects of the project lifecycle, ensuring completion on time, within budget, and to high standards aligning with the city's objectives. Our team fosters collaboration and communication, ensuring that city initiatives create lasting value for our residents. In addition to the 33 ongoing projects, I'm pleased to report that the PMO has completed 22 projects since October 2023. These projects span across a wide range of IT initiatives, which directly benefit city operations and its residents. They support the city's goals for growth, sustainability, and community well-being. For more details about these projects, please refer to Appendix A in the provided memo. Now I'd like to introduce Shirley Young from our project management team, who will highlight key projects we're currently managing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesse. Good afternoon, Chair Dwan, Vice Chair Kamei, council members, and members of the public. My name is Shirley Young, and I am a project manager with the Project Management Office. On this slide titled City Focus Areas and PMO Project Statuses, we are showing projects led by the project management team and their current project statuses. Our intake process ensures that projects managed by the PMO aligns with city focus areas that are important to city leadership and residents, as well as other initiatives. We are happy to report that the majority of our projects are green, which means they are on track to meet its timeline, budget, and scope. We have one project with a gray status, which means it has not officially started yet, but we are preparing and laying the groundwork to start the project. We have two projects with yellow status, which means there are slight delays. However, it does not impact the timeline, scope, and budget. And lastly, we have two projects that are red, which means there are significant delays that impact the timeline, scope, or budget, and there is currently no path forward yet, but we are actively working on it to determine the best path forward. One of the projects we'd like to highlight that improves city services and increased resident awareness is the SJ311 Vehicles Concern Dashboard, a project in partnership with the Department of Transportation. This dashboard is an updated approach to customer satisfaction and focuses on outcomes such as timeliness and communication, offering more actionable insights. As you can see, the data is disaggregated so that it helps inform our understanding of responsiveness in areas of improvement. For example, previously all vehicle concerns were in one data point called abandoned vehicles, but we've since disaggregated it into 5 data points, which allowed us to pinpoint the city's responsiveness at different stages, and has also resurfaced other resident concerns such as vehicle trash. With data-informed improvements, we were able to increase customer satisfaction for vehicle concerns from 15% to 60%. This granular level of data helps the city improve resident services, and it also increased resident awareness on the services provided by the city and the city's efforts to address vehicle concerns. I will now hand the presentation back over to Khaled to talk about the strategic update.
Thank you, Shirley. By leveraging data, innovation, and exceptional customer service, we are transforming city operations to be more efficient, effective, equitable, and resident-focused. Our investments in San Jose 311, a strong data strategy, and effective AI policies help us achieve our goal of delivering seamless services, ensuring San Jose remains a model for efficiency, transparency, and community engagement. Our data program helped drive informed decisions that lead to better services. Data is one of our most valuable assets, shaping policies, increasing efficiency, and fostering public trust. Our data strategy ensures secure, well-governed, and accessible information for smarter decision-making. Through staff upskilling and training, we empower employees to harness data effectively, optimizing resources and proactively responding to community needs. The San Jose 311 is the city's forefront for customer service, providing residents with quick, reliable, and multilingual support for accessing city services. By utilizing a 360-degree view of resident interactions, we ensure seamless communication across departments, enhancing service delivery. Data from San Jose 311 requests help us identify trends, improve operations, and proactively address community needs. Our IT strategic plan promotes seamless, accessible, and transparent government services. By aligning strategy, governance, and technology, we ensure an efficient experience for residents and businesses. We are investing in digital platforms, automation, and AI-driven solutions while maintaining a people-centered approach to services. In December of last year, San Jose hosted its first GovAI Coalition Summit at San Jose Convention Center, reinforcing the city's role as a leader in ethical and responsible AI adoption. This event aligns with the city's council priority of attracting investments in jobs and strengthening our position as a hub for innovation and forward thinking. The first ever GovAI Coalition Summit was a great success, attracting more than 600 attendees from 160 local, state, and federal agencies. This landmark event fosters critical discussion on ethical AI policies and shaping the future of AI governance nationwide. Beyond policy, the summit also had a positive economic impact on downtown San Jose, supporting local businesses through the Holiday Shop local campaign, thanks to the collaboration of the City Manager's Office, Mayor's Office, Office of Economic Development and Cultural Affairs, and the Information Technology Departments. Attendees were encouraged to explore and support local residents and businesses, and some of the numbers on the screen reflect some of the impacts or results. Building on this momentum, we are actively planning this year's GovAI Coalition, which is expected to be attended by 700 to 1,000 people. San Jose is leading the way in shaping the future where AI serves all residents responsibly, ethically, and effectively, ensuring technology remains a force for good in our community. I would like to highlight the city's effort in supporting innovation and digital transformation. San Jose was recognized by the Center for Government for leveraging technology, data, and innovation to improve city services to the community. The city's What Works City Gold certification acknowledges our excellence in using data, demonstrated by the city's commitment to transparency, open data, and performance management. The gold certification positioned the city among top cities nationwide for data-driven governance and excellence, as less than 1.5% of incorporated cities in the U.S. hold the certificate. These achievements reflect San Jose's ongoing commitment to innovation, service excellence, and responsible governance. It also highlights the city's leadership and skilled and committed staff. This concludes our presentation, and staff is available for feedback and questions.
Thank you for the report. Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay, we're going to go to Councilmember Kamei.
So you know where my pain point is with 311. I like the dashboard. I think it's very useful. You can see a lot more than you had in the past, so thank you for the improvement. The one thing that we're still not able to get clarity on is the responses to the public. And, you know, one of the things that I imagined is, you know, whenever you get a delivery and you want to track where that package is, or, you know, there's a way of understanding that it moves from the warehouse to, you know, oh, it's on its way or whatever. And I don't know if something similar is available for when someone has something coming in to report to SJ 311 to be able to determine, okay, where's that thing, where'd it go? Instead of saying, oh, that vehicle was already reported, you still can't report it again for 60 days. And I think that, you know, I did, you know, learn that it is an outside vendor and that it takes at least 15 days. I know that in the mayor's budget message, there is a suggestion to bring it in-house so that we have greater control and flexibility. I think that's a good idea if we have the staff to do it. But I also think that, you know, we can look to other systems that seem to help us know, well, where is this thing, right? And I think that if we're able to make changes in this next fiscal year, I think that it would really, really help us. You know, the fact that it takes 15 days for a vendor to respond or to, you know, get some kind of information to figure out, okay, what can we do to change this? And I know it's a system that is, I guess in technology terms, is antiquated by now, right? So it's time to refresh it in a different way, reinvent it in a different way. And so I'm very hopeful to see other ways that we're able to serve the public in a more open and transparent way, because I like the dashboards, but it doesn't really tell you, like, where did your concern go, right? So I think that as you think about any changes, it would be really nice to be able to understand that, yeah, you know, when it was originally put forth, 311 was at a different stage. Now, you know, we can graduate it to something even better. So I want to thank you for the report, and I'd like to move acceptance of the status report on projects managed by the city's portfolio products and project office.
We have first and second, and now we're going to Councilmember Mulcahy.
Thank you. Thanks for the report. And Khalid, on one of the slides, it talked about, you know, the sort of the scorecard and where you are in process. Can you talk about the video camera management? What is that specifically related to? Is that people registering their Ring camera with PD, or what is that directly talking about?
Thank you, Councilmember. The camera management system is actually a system that is designed to bring a number, if not all, the city's cameras that are owned by the city, airport, DOT, otherwise, into one system so that there's visibility. So it's not a residential camera system, but rather it's for the city operations. And right now there are multiple departments that have different contracts for different camera management systems. The idea is to bring it all into one system so that it's easily managed, easily viewable just from one system, and easily maintained from there. And also the hope is that it will also provide a better costing because it's all on one system as opposed to multiple systems.
And is the drawback the fact that we have all these outstanding contracts that we're committed to, that it's hard to wrangle those all together?
That's part of it. Each system is a little bit different cameras, different operational systems, and so bringing them all together will require one program, not one type of camera, but bringing these different types of disparate cameras and different systems into one. That's really where the complexity comes in.
Okay, thank you. So going to 311, my favorite. It's going to sound crazy, but I sort of think about 311 as the TikTok of our community, where we're asking people to be really interactive with our system, right? And, you know, it sort of goes to Councilmember Kamei's comment about what we're giving back to those people that we're asking to tell us how we're doing, right? So I probably I used it 7 times already today. And now that I've got people on my team, we have a text chain where I driving down the street, and I'm taking a photo of a graffiti mark, and I can just say, market in San Carlos, making that up, right? And it goes into the system. So we're using it every single day. And so that sort of what comes back to me is not really encouraging me to keep going, even though I do. And so we've talked about this, like, how do we make it easier for people to get their information in, and how do we make it even more rewarding when they do, so that they know that if their case is closed, what have we, the city, because now I'm on this side, I have to say what have we, the city, done with that information? And I just think we're missing a huge opportunity, and that's why I think about it as like TikTok. Why are people so crazy about, maybe that's a bad word to be saying in this room, but, social media sites that warrant, kind of a reward for participating? And I want us to think about that, like, how do we drive more people to the site to do the reporting that we just don't have enough city staff to cover ourselves, that then allow us to be more effective in kind of solving some of those everyday issues that are just driving people batty. I know that's it's not even a question, it's an editorial, but I think you understand what I'm getting at.
Absolutely. Thank you for your question, and thank you, Councilmember Kamei, also for your comment. I share your views on.
Can you get closer?
Sure. I share your view that we want it to be engaging, inviting, and friendly. There is nothing more pleasing to me than to feel that our community is addicted to our 311 app like they're addicted to TikTok. We are having challenges with not controlling the application and having to rely on a contractor that developed the solution a few years back. And I welcome the message and the budget message from the mayor's office that direct some funding so we can address this. We were very successful in fixing a lot of the back end in the last 2 years, and I think now we're ready to do something about the front end. It's almost like building the foundation. You cannot build a building with cracks in the foundation. So the foundation has been rebuilt from the ground up in the last 2 years, and now we're ready to really do something great. And we're looking forward to the funding to make it happen. I'm going to share my view on 311, just to let you know that we're online, but also where I'm going with it. Today, we're celebrating that we're getting 300 interaction with the public on 311. I think our success is when we get 0. And the goal here is we're using AI as a pilot to see, can we detect these failures or these issues that we see on the street before the public? If there is illegal dumping, graffiti, potholes, if we can identify that and feed the 311 and be proactive in delivering the service, and this is part of our vision, is to be anticipate where the service is needed and be proactive in delivering that service. We're hoping that one day, and hopefully soon, that when somebody sees an issue and they try to report to 311, that we will say, we got it. Yeah, we got notified, we found it ourselves 2 days ago, here's the schedule, here's where we're going with it. This is really what I would call the TikTok equivalent of 311, that the public will have trust that the government is always one step ahead of them in identifying issues and resolving them. So this is really where we're trying to take the app. I know we're not there yet, and it's hard for me to discuss the vision where we're still having some fundamental issues with the current app, but I'm hoping over the next 12 to 16 months that we'll be making drastic enhancements that reflect that vision and get us closer to where we want to be.
That's great, and I love your idea that, our goal is to get to 0. I mean, that would be a joyous day. So I think it's fine. I could go on about the question about AI and how that's going to affect the user experience, but I think it kind of goes without saying that if you're focused on AI relative to getting ahead of it, that the system would have to reflect the AI, improvements as well that would help a user experience, like, geotagging when somebody puts a photo in and they don't have to put the address in as well, which is always a fumbly thing to do, right? But I would assume that improvements to the app would include that kind of update.
The geotagging is a little bit tricky because if I'm taking a picture of that wall and I'm here across the street, then the geotagging is where my phone is versus where the issue is. So that's why but it's something that we're looking at. How can we make it seamless and intuitive for them so they can do a couple clicks and they move on with their lives? But yeah, this is the spirit of what we're trying to do for the engagement with the public.
Thank you. I'm done with questions, but I just want to say thank you because I think it's such an important tool for us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mulcahy. We're going to Councilmember Salas.
Yeah, I like to tell people, I've been on the outside for 50 years, and I tell people the reason I took this job is because I've been complaining about the city for 50 years, and it's a good chance to be inside, except for the 311 app. I love the 311 app, and there is that janky part about the geo thing that I wish we just put an address in, but I know you're working on it. I wanted to ask you two questions. One is, do you have times when you have users who sit around and say, here's the thing, here's the problem, or how do you get feedback relative to when there's going to be an opportunity to improve, but you're actually talking to users? I don't use it as much as Michael does, but I use it quite a bit. And I occasionally say, boy, I wish you'd just talk to somebody, and that was really focused at that moment on what are the improvements from the user standpoint.
Usually the process when we add a new feature to 311, like we did with the vehicle concerns application, we worked with the community to have community meetings and solicit feedback and concerns from them before we enhance the app or we add to it. So part of that process will be engaging the communities, different parts of the communities, just to make sure that we have good representation. And also, we have been collecting a lot of feedback through comments, through the surveys. So we have a decent understanding of the pain points for the public. It has been just the funding and resources that can have been impeding our ability to move forward. But it looks like hopefully we'll get more support during the budget cycle, and we'll be able to implement some of the enhancement that we've been thinking about.
Okay, and then I think this is mostly editorial, but I have never, this Exhibit 4, it's the Vehicle Concerned Performance Metrics. Is that fed from 311, or is that a whole separate dashboard or application?
So on our website, we have the graphs. You can report issues on our website, but also on the banner we have dashboards. So some of the dashboards, data related to 311.
Okay.
The performance metrics is one of them. And the other one, we had a dedicated one for the vehicle concerns, which pulls data from 311 and also pulls data from other systems.
Okay.
Because the challenge were residents were frustrated that we're not towing cars enough, we're not dealing with the abandoned vehicles fast enough. So that dashboard was an attempt to present all our efforts so the public will understand that we're doing a lot of things. It's just there is a lot of issue that we need to address, and so that was really the main reason behind that dashboard, is to communicate and be transparent with the public.
Great. Well, this is where the editorial comes in, because I don't think this applies to you, because this is a beautiful dashboard. But if I showed this to my constituents, they would laugh at me. This is not right. And I want to give you two examples. Number one, it says that there's a bar chart that says DOT abandoned vehicles, 60% satisfaction. I've had community meetings, and all I hear is how I reported this abandoned vehicle. It's been there for 4 weeks. No one's done anything. So again, this is editorial because it has nothing to do with the technology. I don't think it has to do with how real this information is, I believe.
So this is valuable information because when we did the vehicle concerns with DOT, Department of Transportation, we realized that the abandoned vehicles was a catch-all phrase. So if somebody parked illegally, they call it abandoned vehicles. Somebody lived in vehicles, abandoned vehicles. If it's truly abandoned vehicles, it's abandoned vehicles. So when we broke it down into 5 categories, that really allowed us to understand, is it about cleaning around the vehicles? Is it the lived-in vehicles? Is it the abandoned? So abandoned vehicles currently at 60%, and these are the truly abandoned vehicles. But if somebody reported abandoned vehicles because it was lived-in, then that's a different classification. And it was important for us to kind of divide the information so we can pinpoint where exactly we need to put more emphasis to address the issue.
No, this makes a lot of sense that way with that explanation, so thank you.
Your comment tells me that we did not communicate this correctly on the dashboard. So we'll take a note and we'll add a note or something to help explain the difference between the 5 categories.
And it is a beautiful dashboard. One other point that for my constituents would believe it, I see that there was 41,469 total requests, and there were 22,000 that were no violation. Again, I think sometimes when I get the feedback from the 311, it says, well, we didn't do it because X, Y, or Z. So it sounds like half of these, someone decided in the 311 universe that there were no violations. But I bet there were. I just wasn't, they didn't put it in right or something, right?
So I think, and I have to speak for DOT, but a lot of times when they investigate, they cannot find a legal justification to tow the car. Mm-hmm. And if you hover on that statistics, it will give you explanation why it was investigated and not towed. Mm-hmm. And we made a lot of attempt in communicating, but regardless, we still need to look into better ways to communicate this information in maybe simpler terms. But this has been a struggle for us to, we get the feedback and we change the language, but I think we need to continue to improve on how we communicate why and the difference between the different categories.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful improvement. It's wonderful, but, and I'm a huge supporter and believer in 311, so thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
If I can add to what Khaled said, Councilmember Salas, after each service request is closed, a customer satisfaction survey is gathered for those who want to respond. And in 2024, there were 16,000 respondents to those. So that helps us improve the app and helps us understand where we're doing well and where we're not doing well. So hopefully that helps address your initial thought.
Let me just comment on that. So I'm trying to think. So when I get some of those sometimes and they say, I didn't do it because of this, I wish I had a thing that I could comment right away and say, I'm not happy, but I don't know. It's just, there are a lot of times I'm frustrated because they closed it out by saying, well, we didn't get it, or we didn't find it, or we didn't do this. And so anyway, yeah, just a comment. Thank you.
No other comments? Great. Let's vote. Okay, we have 5-0, unanimous. We go to item number 3, the Police Department Operation and Performance Quarterly Status Report, presented by Lieutenant Paul Hamlin. And we do have our police chief and a couple of captains.
Thank you, Chair. And good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Paul Hamblin of the Research and Development Unit of the Police Department. And with me today, as you said, are Paul Joseph, Chief of Police, Captain Ali Mary of Central Division, and Lieutenant Nukwai Sherry of the Traffic Enforcement Unit. And today we will be presenting the department's Operations and Performance Quarterly Status Report. In today's report, I will provide the latest citywide crime statistics, which will take us through Q2 of fiscal year 24-25. And prior to giving you the stats, I'm going to provide a little background on the National Incident-Based Crime Reporting System to put the numbers into context and to help explain why we report the way we do. After the crime stats, I'll give an update on our redistricting project. And then finally, I'll provide a brief report on the department's preparations for Cinco de Mayo weekend 2025. Going back to at least as far as 1960, the department had used the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting System, or UCR, to report its crime statistics. On September 22nd, 2022, the department submitted a memo notifying council that it was transitioning to the National Incident-Based Crime Reporting System, or NIBRS. The transition was made on April 4th, 2023, and since then, we've intermittently reminded and educated both the full council and this committee on the effects of this transition. Since the committee is comprised of several new members, I've decided to go over some of these effects before we delve into the numbers. The primary difference between the two reporting systems is that the new system, NIBRS, is far more comprehensive. The old reporting system reported on a smaller number of crime types and only reported one crime type per incident based on a built-in hierarchy, whereas NIBRS reports on over 40 different crime types and collects data on the top 10 offenses for any given incident. For example, under the old system, if an officer took a report involving a robbery, an aggravated assault, and a burglary, only the robbery was reported because it was the highest on the hierarchy chart. Under NIBRS, all three crimes are added to the city's crime statistics. Also, unlike UCR, NIBRS collects data regarding the event, the victim, the offender, and crime characteristics. For these reasons, comparing any new data to data gathered before April of 2023 is misleading, which is why we currently keep our comparisons to quarter. However, by the end of this fiscal year, we will have 2 full years of NIBRS data, and we can begin comparing year to year again, and also a given quarter to the same quarter the previous year. Okay, NIBRS, if you'll remember, is split into 3 general categories. The first is crimes against person. Overall, crimes against person were down slightly in Q2 from 4,223 in Q1 to 4,043 in Q2 for an average of 4,133. Looking at the specific crimes in this category, we see an improvement in every single crime type except for manslaughter, which remained at 0. The biggest improvements were in murder, with an almost 43% improvement, and human trafficking with a 47% improvement. Obviously, these less common crimes are going to see larger swings percentage-wise from quarter to quarter. For example, if we do report a manslaughter next quarter, it'll represent a 100% increase. Turning to crimes against property, we see a slight jump from 9,121 in Q1 to 9,394 for a 2-quarter average of 9,258. And then when we look at the specific crime types in this category, I'll point out the main reason for the overall jump. Reported theft and larceny cases are up 14.7%. And we attribute that largely to our organized retail theft detail, which is reaching out to stores and taking reports on thefts that were previously going unreported. Our third and final category is crimes against society, which stayed almost exactly even with Q1, going down by 18 total crimes in Q2. And breaking down this category by individual crime, we see the biggest swings in animal cruelty, which was up from 32 in Q1 to 46 in Q2, and prostitution, which went down from 38 to 21. Now onto the redistricting project. We'll start with a look at the timeline, which is the same timeline we've been showing since we undertook this project in 2022. As you can see, it has been a long, eventful road to where we are now, involving a lot of hard work and collaboration, from contracting with the consultant to gathering comprehensive data, to community engagement, to consulting with city stakeholders on the findings of the report, and finally, drafting an information memo with this department's response to the report's recommendations. The memo is complete and is currently in the vetting process. Now I'm going to go over the 4 major projects the department has agreed to undertake pursuant to the redistricting report. We mentioned each of these briefly in our last quarterly report in December. The first and most imminent project, which is district-wide dispatching. This is where officers working within a district are not assigned to a particular beat, but instead can and will be assigned based on GPS location anywhere within the district. We believe this will help lower call response times. We are planning the pilot for Central Division, which is 4 districts on all 3 shifts beginning in May. A work group has already been formed under the direction of Captain Meary to work out legal, logistical, and budgetary issues. Next in line is the redrawing of district boundaries to include reducing the number of patrol districts from 16 to 12. The department will convene a work group, including community stakeholders, to draw the new boundaries. Implementation of this proposal may require the meet and confer process between the city and the San Jose Police Officers Association, as well as a realignment of the department's technology systems with the new district boundaries. Next is the Detention Services Officer Unit. A budget proposal has already been submitted for 12 new positions in a new classification of employee that will be responsible for picking up arrestees throughout the city, transporting them to county jail, and handling the booking process at jail. This will keep sworn officers in their districts for longer portions of their shifts so they can continue to respond to calls for service and conduct proactive law enforcement activities. And finally, the 2-person unit deployment, which we plan to begin with a pilot in Foothill Division at a date to be determined in the future. And now I'll end our report today with a status update on preparations for Cinco de Mayo weekend, which will be Thursday, May 1st through Sunday, May 4th. Members of the department's command staff, including Lieutenant Sherry here, have been meeting with District 5 staff for several months as they plan for the D5 event, which will be held on Saturday the 4th. Sunday the 4th. Like last year, the event will include a parade, which will necessitate the closure of South King Road from McKee Road to 680, and will culminate with an event at Emma Prush Park. No other road closures have been pre-planned, and closures would only be implemented on an emergency basis. The department's media relations unit will continually update the public on any road closures or diversions or any other pertinent developments throughout the weekend. The department will utilize operational hours, which incorporates 12-hour patrol shifts, and contingent traffic diversions only if absolutely necessary in the downtown and foothill corridors for Thursday through Sunday, and a contingent operations plan for Monday the 5th in the event that any unexpected activities occur on that day. And that concludes our report. As always, we're happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any public comment?
We do not.
Okay. I need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Well, thank you. Let's vote. No question. No one asked. We got 4-0, missing Councilmember Kamei. We have open forum at this point.
Yes, we have 2 speakers, Julia and Carrie. Please make your way down to the podium, and whoever speaks first, if the other one of you could please wait at the stairs.
I like the easiest one for them all. Usually there's tons of questions.
They were all stunned.
I know. They're all like, what?
Hi, I'm Julia Hugg, and I'm an 8th grader, and I live a street away from the intersection of Bird Avenue and Pine Avenue in Willow Glen, District 6. I emailed the city recently asking about better traffic control at the intersection, and it was put onto the pedestrian safety enhancement list for a potential upgrade to rectangular rapid flashing beacons. This is a great step forward, but it isn't enough. With both a public park, River Glen, and 2 public elementary schools, Hammer Montessori and Galarza Elementary, at the intersection, the lack of safety and chaos at the intersection, as well as the people frequently running the stop signs at many times of day, are concerning and very dangerous for many young children. I have talked to the principal at Hammer Montessori, Stephen Bingham, and he agrees that the intersection is a problem. We need better traffic control, and we need it now. During drop-off and pickup on school days, the intersection is flooded with people and cars. People end up taking their anger out on the crossing guards who are just trying to do their jobs, and it is difficult and dangerous for everyone involved. At other times, people often don't stop fully or just don't stop at the stop signs. I have data on this if you would like to see it at a later time, and the number of partial stops and non-stops are alarming. And people speed through the intersections as well, leading it to be very unsafe. I can remember multiple crashes happening during my and my sister's time at the elementary school. There were 2 specific very large crashes that I remember that were not cleaned up by the next morning. It is my firm belief that no child should have to walk over broken glass to get to school. There is no reason for this to happen again. It is completely avoidable. Please improve the traffic control at the intersection. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Carrie Wallach, and I live on the same block as Julia, and we just so happened to realize that we were coming for the same thing. So I frequently walk my dogs in the neighborhood, and there have been several times where I've come close to being hit by cars while crossing the intersection at Pine and Bird. The last time was really close, and it was just me and 1 car, and then I decided to email the transportation department, and I have to say they've been great at responding, and they've kept me updated on everything that they've been doing. I also had asked for more signage and the blinking lights, and they had said that they can't do blinking lights when they're stop signs, so I don't know what that means. But they did agree that the intersection needs updating, and my hope is that this will just be a priority. As Julia was saying, it's really dangerous, it's super chaotic, nobody knows when to go. I just feel like it should be a priority because since there's that park, and then there's the 2 schools, and then just there's a lot of us walking dogs in the neighborhood, and we all have kids. So appreciate you listening, and thank you.
Back to the committee.
Well, thank you for taking the time to attend today's meetings, and thank you, young lady, and have the courage to come up here and speak. At this time, the meeting is adjourned.